Good morning and welcome to GM Tips. This is GM Rick here. Hope everybody's having a great Monday so far. This is Monday, August 18th or 15th. I'm doing this one. So just wanted to say I hope everybody had a great weekend of gaming. Wanted to give a couple plugs before I move forward and just jump into everything. Now, there's a couple great people to follow if you aren't doing this to learn RPG tips and fun and just have fun with GMing as well as playing. And I've got some really neat people that I correspond with. And sorry, got a little bit of Rapunzel going on with Tangled in the background from Mini GM. But the Steel Empire. Now, you guys, if you haven't listened to them on their podcasts, I suggest you do. The neat thing about this group is they are a family, and I like when a family gets together and games. It's just something to be said, and the kids were gaming before the father. Their father joined in. He is a musician as well as he does voice work outside of the normal podcast world. And so they've come together to put together a really fun, flighty, humorous take on Dungeons and Dragoning. And the oldest daughter, Amara, does a really tremendous job as a GM. And I love all the friends and brothers and sisters because they are just a fun lot. And there's moments where you're going, what the heck? But it is so much fun and humor and mirth, and it just gives you the fun side of gaming. And I think we got to have that. I mean, we get so serious sometimes, I think, in our gaming that a little bit of fun and mirth never hurts. So that's one I want to give a shout out to on that side. Now, some other podcasters that I want you guys to know about. Basement Heroes. I like Basement Heroes. I'm not necessarily a huge 5e fan. I got to say I'm getting to warm up to it, being I'm a huge 3.5 guy originally, and that's why I'm Pathfinder. But I really like the Dungeon Heroes, or the Basement Heroes. I mean, Dungeon Heroes. God, guys, I'm making you a new name. Woo! No, the Basement Hero bunch is just a fun bunch, and they really create some interesting adventures and color and background, and it gives you, as a GM, some things you really want to do and have fun with when it comes to these things. So keep that in mind. Hang on, I got a quick phone call. I'll be right back. And I'm back magically. One more shout out I want to give is to the World Builders Inn. Really liked it. I sampled a little bit of their stuff and like their stuff. Really good and interesting information with them. They give RPG storytelling and a lot of discussions when it comes to that. So, you know, for a GM, always a good thing to have. But the last one is Everything Awesome. I listened to them. They did an interview with the Steel Empire, and basically they're a great group, and I really enjoy them. And you know, the Steel's Empire's name, to give that correctly, a quest for magic and steel with an E at the end, and then Everything Awesome. Everything Awesome is a lot of fun. I believe Kev is our guy there, Kevin, and I really enjoy his interviews. I think he's done a great job. He has a lot of fun and keeps them light and interesting and very exciting. So just keep that in mind, that those are some to really add. And then Askren on Twitter does the Fluffy Dice show, and Askren does a great job. Really, hands down, some of the people he brings on are just over the top greatness. And so keep in mind, as you're adding to your listening library, and I do recommend this to any GM and DM starting out, have these type of shows because they're going to show you some tips that's going to sharpen your own DMing skills and GMing skills. So sometimes the gaming system really doesn't matter. It's more the GMing itself. That's the one thing that stays constant no matter the system, is how you bring to life the world that these players are going to be playing on. How you play NPCs, non-player characters. How are you doing the monsters? How are you doing the baddies? How are you adding that staying power that keeps people coming back? And I've had a few of my Twitter followers ask me that. So keep that in mind. Now, that's all the things out in the beginning. Not the reason for my show. My show today, and I had a really, really, really good feedback item from the stuff that I post up to Google Plus. And I want to say I really appreciate the people on Google Plus in the different gaming groups who speak up and tell me feedback on my videos. And I really appreciate that. And one of those gentlemen, starting out GM, said to me, Rick, I really watched your Skulls and Shackles campaign because I'm a newbie when it comes to GMing. You did a great job of reviewing the product, but you didn't tell me the tips on how to run the actual adventure path. Kind of feedback I love. And please, folks, as you watch my videos, if you want to put feedback, you can either post it up on the video, or you can send me something to my personal email. I will give that to you. I don't have a problem giving it out. There's two ways you can contact me outside of this. It's ricmoh43@yahoo.com is my email. And Rick with a capital R, and then a capital M. It's RIC, capital M, capital T, little h, little e, capital G, capital M. Rick M. the GM on Twitter. You can get a hold of me there, and you can DM me there and say, hey, Rick, direct message, and say, Rick, here's my suggestions. Love your video. Don't like your video. Would love to see you do this. Love to see you do that. I'm a work in progress. And even if I was a professional at this, I would appreciate any and all feedback you can provide me on what I'm giving you. Because this is for you. It's not for me. It's not for my edification. I don't do these things for my own edification. I do them for you. So, prepping for this. Skulls and Shackles, great adventure path, by the way, and you see my other video on it to really go into that, but that's not what we're going to talk about necessarily, is how great it is. This is a pirate adventure. You're playing on the high seas, so some information you're going to need, whether you're converting it to D&D 5e or 4e or 3.5 D&D, or you're playing it as Pathfinder. One thing you got to get good at and sharpen up on is ship-to-ship battles. You are going to have this and ship-to-ship things that go on. Now, it's up to you as a GM or DM how much of the, what I call the campaign mechanics you want to have with like a large ship battle, or a ship-to-ship engagement, or multi-ship engagement. Those rules are actually provided within the Player's Guide, which is a free guide you can download from Paizo. So go to paizo.com, click on the search all, and look at Skulls and Shackles Player's Guide, or Skull and Shackles. I'm sorry, I always put an S in the skulls. It's Skull and Shackles. And there you're going to find there's a section within there. It's like a 70-page document, so they're real thorough about this. But keep in mind, you are going to be looking up combat. Now, what does that mean? You put out a large map. Now, within the campaign guide, the ultimate campaign, and within the GMG, they will give you some information on ship-to-ship engagements. There are also little pieces that you can print out from the Player's Guide where they have smaller ships, and they're about an inch long or less, so they give you the actual sizes of the ship and size scale, and you can build up a fleet on a standard square map. And what you do with the squares is I put them to the size of what the ship would be on how many feet. So keep that in mind when you're doing that. When I'm talking about a square map, this comes off of Paizo's. You can buy this separate. Now, you got the beginner's box that'll just have this one. There is a dual-sided one from Paizo, okay? And it is, what do they call it? I'll tell you what kind of map they'll call it. They call it the basic flip map. You want this because it's laminated and you can use it. Whether you're doing the smaller ship-to-ship engagements or you're doing the larger boarding things, you want this. Now, what else do you want? Paizo also puts out these lovely things. These little map guides. They're like $10 to $12, and they're different types of terrain. Yes, they do have one for a ship. Now, if it's out of date, what you're going to have to do is print it off and do your own. But as you will see here, they give you ships that you can put together to make your ships. They also have the smaller ones. So this is more of a frigate. That was more of a caravel. So this goes together like this for a small frigate. That goes together for a large caravel. Now, they've got the lower decks of it too. So when you're not in ship-to-ship battles, you can put all these side by side so that you've got the below decks and the above decks. Makes your job of drawing things tons easier when you're using this. Now, some people said, Rick, I don't want to mess these up. Well, then put them together and get them laminated at your local FedEx Kinko's so that you can put it together as one solid piece. You can do that. Cost you a little bit of money, usually for the laminates, $10 or so, but well worth the money. Because you'll keep it, be able to mark on it with your erasable and non-erasable pens, your permanent ones, your dry erase, sorry, not permanents, but dry erase, your erase and your dry erase, your wet erase and dry erase. So keep those in mind. You want to have those for that. They also have a Tavern and Dock District maps like this basic map, okay, flip map, that you can get as well. And they even have a red light district one. I suggest getting all of those for the islands that you're going to be on with the players. Now, if you do not have the combat pad, where have you been, my friends? This is greatness. See these little things? Magnetic. You can put on names with your wet erase and dry erase. You have turns, and you have a little turn counter that's right over on this side. Got to go over this way. Turn counter. You can put your notes for your hit points of your ships and other things. And it's real fluid for you to do. So keep these things in mind. All good things to have. Now, I'll show you some of these. Here's your basic map, because you can tell your basic flip map. You got your little Ireland caves. Now, here is Mini GM. Hi, Minnie. Go watch your thing. All right. This is the seedy taverns. So they give you a bunch of seedy taverns that you can play from. I like it because it has a lot of different types of taverns. You can fold the map part way. You can do the fog of war over it if you want for parts you're not playing, which basically means putting white sheets of paper over it. One of the other ones that is worth getting for the Skulls and Shackles, this arena map, they have an island that has arena fighting on it. So do you a favor and get you that one. There's your red light district one. And there's your warehouse one. Those are all usable in my mind for this campaign. I use them for multiple campaigns. So are they worth owning for a ton of campaigns? Absolutely. Look at how many I have. Yes, it's an investment. Everybody always says to me, oh my gosh, Rick, D&D is so much easier. I don't have to invest as much with the Paizo stuff. Paizo gives you convenience. They give you stuff that you're going to use with your modules and with everything else. Yeah, it's sales dollars. Yes, they're getting your money. But yes, they are providing you with something that makes your work 10 times easier. Ask yourself, for 15 bucks, would you rather spend hours writing out on the simple basic map all these places and then erasing and then rewriting and then erasing and then rewriting? How many hours of your valuable time are you spending? And then ask yourself if $15 is worth it. To me, it is. Yes, I know we're limited budget. And I just treat yourself ever so often. Before you start a campaign like this, take some time, a couple months ahead of yourself, to get the materials little by little. Okay? Pace yourself. Budget yourself. That's my suggestion. So, points and suggestions. What other things do I like to have? At least the PDF of this, because here's where you're going to be raiding. You're going to be, one of the things you're going to do for your pirates is allow them to raid villages on the Mwangi coast. This is the Mwangi. Why is this important? because it talks about types of diseases, types of pests, types of conditions, types of effects of really nasty environment on your player, different tribes that are there, different peoples, encounter tables, and cities, lost cities. So if your pirates want to go treasure raiding, that can be a side thing that will get them prestige. Or in this case, forgive me, this is the other thing we do in this campaign. There is infamy, and then there's plunder. Okay, that's your fame and your PPs that you get with a normal hero character. Except in this case, it's infamy because you're infamous versus famous. And then plunder is the goods. So you're not having to do good trade, because here's what happens. When you capture goods as a pirate, then you have to convert that to the going market rate. Pain in the butt. So what they say is every 1,000 gold pieces is 1 plunder point. So make it simplified. Have your players spend plunder points to buy things. It'll be easier for you. You don't have to do conversions. You don't have to figure out if the good they got on the ship is worthwhile on the open market or not. They tell you the valuations of that in plunder points. So I suggest using plunder points. This is a must. You have to have this. Okay? People will say, no, you don't. Yes, you do. Because it tells you the whole backstory about the free captaincy, why things are important, who runs what island, what dangers there are. There are things out there that your players will want to find. Did you know that the Isles have a undead ship captain? They have a lich that runs the ship, calls the Nazgul, or Nargul, I think they call it in here. Nasty, nasty, nasty lich and her crew. They also have a dragon to hack that they will tell you some about. So, sorry about that. I get calls. That was my in-laws. Always fun. No, they're good people. They really are. I'm very fortunate to have the in-laws I have. They give you some other things with the different types of who all's in the Shackle Isles. And there's many different countries that have people that are in the Shackle Isles that are pirates. And so just keep that in mind. You want to get a little more familiar as a GM with that area. Whether you put it on to Faerun, Golarion, wherever you put it, include the Shackle Isles in your world, as well as the Mwangi Expanse. 2 tremendously fun areas to play in. You got 2 sets of adventure paths that you can do there. Right now, that is Skull and Shackles and Serpent Skull. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of adventure to be had, a lot of lost treasures and cities. So this area is literally like the Pirates of the Caribbean, but right off of the coast of Barbary coast of Africa. So it's really a cool place to have your players play. Now, some modules if you want some side adventures, and I recommend this because again it says along the way, help your players to build up infamy and plunder, because you're going to have to raise a navy at the end to fight off the Chelish incursion that's going to try to take out the Shackles once and for all and put them under their boot. So I love River into Darkness. It goes into Blood Cove on the Mwangi Expanse. Blood Cove is friendly to pirates. The harbor master there sees the profit in it. Plus, you're going to run into the Chelish there as well as the Pathfinders there. The Pathfinder Society has a lodge there. So some really interesting things for your players. Now, another one they said that you can put this in after the Wormwood Mutiny is this one, Plunder and Peril. This one can be set in between the Wormwood Mutiny and the second one, which is, hang on here, being terrible on all these. The second one is Raiders of the Fever Sea. So you can use this to actually supplement some of the Raiders of the Fever Sea, because a lot of Raiders of the Fever Sea is getting the party infamy, building up plunder, and helping them to do things. So in here they can become more buccaneers versus vicious pirates. It depends on what your party wants to play. Or even in this one they can become a little more vicious pirates. This one's set on the Isle of Kent, Motaku Island in the city of Kent area. And there's a place off of there called Lily White. And why do they call it Lily White? Why do pirates call anybody Lily White? You lily-livered coward. Basically, a bunch of, as they call it, pansy Caden Kaleen worshippers who are nicey nice. But Lily White is to be reckoned with. A lot of it is former slaves to both the Mwangi slaves, who are slave ships, so very predominantly African culture in that area, as well as halflings. So both of them are very loyal to Caden Kaleen for the freedom that he's given them, and they have a Freedom Independence Day celebration that you'll be a part of with this, and doing some adventures with a captain that needs you. Now, for raiding, and this I would use on the Raiders of the Fever Sea too, ships of the Inner Sea. These are a lot of the merchant ships. They give you some great merchant ship as well as pirate ship examples that you can have going through the Shackle Isles. So you don't have to make up all your own ships, and that's the cool part. Yes, the Raiders of the Fever Sea gives that to you, but keep in mind that having the supplemental material will be invaluable. Now, what are the key mechanics you got to know as a GM there? Number one, Wormwood Mutiny, bottom line, is teaching your people how to be pirates and giving them experience. Basically, bottom line, what they're doing is they are trying to get your people to get used to doing boarding of a ship and ship-to-ship combat, as well as capturing people to become more press gang crew for the ship. So what your players... what you're going to be doing as you're running it is you are helping them to understand a pirate's life. And that's what you're trying to get them to do. Now, I recommend as a GM you telling your players straight out, profession sailor would be their best friend, or profession navigator. And so those are things I would recommend. So what you're getting them used to is you're getting them used to the discipline on that ship. Master Scourge is basically the second in command. He's the second mate. He's the one that's whipping the players into shape. And don't be nice about it. Pirates weren't nice. Okay, so when your guys screw up, give them lashes. They're going to get the lash of the whip, whether they like it or not. Now, your players are going to want to rise up immediately. Every party does. And take that ship from the man himself. And I'm going to tell you right now, you have to make him such a fearsome figure that they are not going to do this. Barnabas Harrigan is detailed in the 5th adventure. Read about him. If your players rise up, they're going against literally something that is a CR12 or harder. If you want, and I recommend this, if the players start getting out of hand, have one of the NPCs join them and get out of hand with them. And there in front of them, have Barnabas Harrigan snap the neck of the NPC who's rising up with them and throw them to the deck in front of the players. Show them how insignificant they truly are to Harrigan. And you have him look them in the eyes and say, try this again, and I'll have you swimming with the fish. And that's it. And that's, let me call it the fear of the gods. It's what it is. And you have to put it into them. Harrigan is one nasty, nasty individual. And when you role play him that way. I see too many GMs being too nice to their players about these kind of people. I'm not saying you're trying to kill your players. You're not. But you don't want them going into a TPK situation. And them taking on him alone, he could kill all 6 of your players handedly at 1st and 2nd level. No problem. No problem at all. 2 at a time. So get them dissuaded from this. Now, God forbid if they're still going to rise up and do this craziness before it's prescribed in the adventure. Here's 2 ways you can get it to switch. Sandara Quinn is a key person in this adventure. Sandara is the cleric of Besmara. Utilize Sandara's charm to say to them, I know you want to kill him, but now is not the time. Let them know Harrigan is one evil individual who is very powerful and rose up among the ranks by taking out other captains, including his own, and that he is not the man to be trifled with. And have Sindara communicate that to him in a nice way, but a firm way, to dissuade them from doing this, and let them know that she wants to rise up and get out of there too, and that the key thing they need to be doing is making relationships. Helping Rosie Cusswell get her violin back from the quartermaster, Cutthroat Grok. Cutthroat Grok is someone else you can befriend that will, once they do some drinks with her and sit and get to know her and shoot the crap with her and tell her some tales, that they can get into the stores to get their own items and sneak them out. That's another thing that's really important, that they need to get their items and not just try to make shift it. And that the time to do this is when they swip off with Master Scourge and Mr. Plug. Mr. Plug is the first mate. Plug hates Harrigan. He wants to go off on his own, kind of like Harrigan did with his own. Let them see their opportunity there. And Plug is not as powerful. So when they get the man's promise, that's the time to have the party have the united forces of the crew behind them. The more they have behind them, the better. They can even win over Owlbear by not killing him in that battle to the death that Mr. Plug sets up to teach them a lesson. Have them help Owlbear, because Owlbear may be not that smart, but he is very loyal. And if they work with him, he'll help them and be some brute force. Croup, the cook, is a amazing man, and have, even though he's drunk, have one of the players be his galley mate down there that is doing all the work for him and asking the stories and wanting to learn, because that's a key thing too. Ambrose Croup is well respected in the Isles, and if they gain his favor later on, he can get them favor of some of the key captains. So keep that in mind. So diplomacy. Use the ultimate intrigue. Use diplomacy. Use some things that are really cool. We didn't have the ultimate intrigue when this first came out, so keep that in mind. You can do verbal battles and never have to draw a sword. So having a character that's like that in there will help the party and make things invaluable. Now, the second one. What's the key of this one? Really, bottom line, as you're playing this, the party is trying to get infamy and plunder. Bottom line, how they do that in this adventure is up to you. You don't have to run things in order. This is one you can run it as you go. Utilize adventures, don't utilize adventures. They have a lot of things. Now, the retrofitting of the ship is important, but that can be done in that adventure, Plunder and Peril, I told you about. Their rickety hake is in here to convert the ship, but there's also in Plunder and Peril another one that's in Lily-White that can do that too. And Lily-White has more friends for them and can help them to get loose of Plug sooner than what will come in here. In here, they're going to go on to an island to recover things, to repair the ship, because they have to go through some bad trials of building themselves up and the ship getting kind of blown apart a little bit, going against some of the baddies here. So this has a lot of undead. It has a lot of lost treasure, things that the party's trying to find. A little more dangerous for the party than the other one is. You can literally replace all but the very end of it in her, because she is key in here as a piratess. That map on her leads to some significant treasure and plunder for the party and magic items. Don't take that out. Keep that the same and play that out. But the other part you can replace with Plunder and Peril. What's the key here? In the second one, you're going to have ship-to-ship boarding battles. Those are fairly easy. So in the beginning, you're going to be doing the two ships doing combat. You write down the hit points. The hardness is what gets subtracted from damage, and its navigation skill plus that is the armor class. So your profession sailor adds to that. Now keep in mind a couple things, okay, as you're going to ship battle. You're not going to be perfect as it is a GM. I wasn't, okay? What I did is there's several maneuvers that players can do. You can do a broadside. A broadside, you come up and hit them with all your armaments, and you basically stun them to push everybody back from allowing you to board. You're pushing them back, because what they're going to be doing while you're trying to board, this is what you're going to be doing to the players. They're going to be trying to board. When you're running their NPCs, you're running attacks on the sides of the ship and on the Marines that are going to be on the side of the enemy ship. Okay? Counter on the NPCs there, you're running the siege engines and the Marines with crossbows trying to keep the pirates from swinging across and getting to the ship. Once your players get the grapnels in, once they get the boarding hooks to pull them close, away you go. Now you're fighting. At that point, you're running NPCs with boarding axes that are trying to cut loose the grapnels. Okay? The more grapnels the party has, the longer the ships stay together. So you really want to have the party taught. Now, the pirates already know this. You're going to have about 5 to 7 pirates with grapnels, as well as 2 or 3 party members. You want to get about 8 to 10 across and secured. Keep the 2 ships together. The whole art of piracy. Been done for years in real life. So, that's piracy. Now, the second way the party can do it, but this damages the ship and makes it hard for them to repair, is to ram the enemy. The only way you ram that enemy is if they are a Navy ship with things. So like the Chelish Navy, you want to ram them to knock a hole in them to make them slow, because you're faster than the Chelish Navy. But remember, the Chelish Navy has Marines to use against the party, flying creatures, a lot of times devils, and their armaments, which usually are pretty tough. You'll want to dissuade the party wherever possible. Tell them the ship looks ominous with all its armaments, looking for pirates. In fact, you can even show the Chelish Navy fighting pirates. So keep that in mind. But that's one technique you're going to have to learn about, is a little bit about those things. Now, the other thing is make it fun and colorful. Picture Pirates of the Caribbean if you want. Picture pirate movies. Have them in your mind. Watch them beforehand if you want, the night before. You have to bring this to life for them. They're on rolling seas. A lot of times it's nice weather, but a lot of times it's really stormy weather in that region because of the permanent hurricane that's called the Eye of Abendigo. It's a permanent hurricane that is constantly kicking off storms. So the seas are not calm, not at all. They're dangerous, very dangerous. But be colorful, the waves rolling over the ship rocking and swaying, the orders being shouted. Do the orders. There's some pirate phrases that you can copy down. If you look up common pirate phrases or terminology, they'll give it to you, and you use that throughout there as your NPCs are calling back and forth to each other. These are the kind of things that you're going to want to know in these first 2 adventures, okay? So then let's go to 4 and 5. What are 4 and 5 about? All right, so 4 and 5. 4 and 5, basically, the pirate characters are basically getting themselves to be free captains. This is one of the free pirate captains. She is important for the party to work with. Doesn't have to be there. You can put a different one in. If you don't like her and you want to do something else, that's fine. You can pick someone else. She is Tessa Fairwind. Tessa is a red-haired, half-elf, fair person, one of the fairest captains you're ever going to come across. She wants to be the patroness to the party. She sees problems in the Free Captain Council, especially with the Storm King, Caradoc Bonefist. She sees him as ineffective and weak, and that he doesn't rise up to do things. He kind of is impotent in some ways, but he gets angry. He has a vicious little temper to him. So in this one, the party is trying to make a name. So they're going to go into getting into the pirate games. And Sadok Goldtooth has some things to do with it. Sadok is the second in command to Caradoc Bonefist. and he's a mean SOB. So what he puts the party to is a test of climbing the rigging, a friendly game of cards, and then finally, repelling the borders. So the party has to go up against some really tough tests. They only have to pass 2 of the 3 to get in. So it's a skill checks. And you're going to run it that way as an exciting thing with all these pirates down on the wharf of Port Peril watching this. Port Peril is this huge pirate area. It is bigger than all the ones in Pirates of the Caribbean. So this is the pinnacle city of pirates, but it's also a free trade city. So there's a lot going on with legitimate people working with the pirates. So this is the crown jewel. Keep that in mind. From there, the party's going to have several missions to help them to build up credibility. They've got to stop several different people. So what Sandara or what Tessa does is says, come and do these tasks for me. Help me out, and I will help you as a patroness. They've got to help the Temple of Callistra. They've got to stop the savage shipwreckers and the half-orc who leads them. They've got to recover some lost stuff on the Brine Banshee. And then they got to find out about Jameis Kef, who basically is a scrimshaw artist that'll help you get to who's the spy of the Chelish in the area. Then they got to deal with the Nagas of the Slithering Coast and then Elise Farhaven. And then finally they go to the Jasper Leaf Apothecary where they get to find out who the spy is, which is Zariska Galembar. And she is a Thuvian moxie who is just ruthless in her poisons and what she does. So keep in mind there's a lot of stuff here that is going to go on. Really get to know these. You got to take the time as a GM to understand each of these thoroughly. If you have to write it out on a sheet of paper, write the A to B to C to D that the party has to get information on. Okay. Then the free captain's regatta, and this is a chance for the party to basically sail the against their former captain. They have different points in the race where different things occur. However, it's up to you. Add more, subtract more. Basically, it's a mix of skills, fighting off of monsters, and fighting off of fellowships. Your former man is there. Yes, he returns. He returns in all of his infamy. It is Barnabas Harrigan. He is mad at the party for costing him the Wormwood, or for costing him his other ships. And he's back on the Wormwood. And he's in the race. Basically, you've got 40 other captains. How do you keep track of this? I would do little counters and put maybe 10 ships that you want to have in the front. And what you're going to do is every time the party does well, they get a little bit of an advantage on the others. So you move that counter ahead. And having your combat thing will be great for that. Because then you can put who's ahead of who and right off to the side by how many. And every time the party blows a check, they lose ground. So positive things ahead of the party. So we're going to do it in a number. So +1, +2, +3, +4, +5 to how far ahead they are. Okay? And minuses to how far back. Is winning the race absolutely crucial? No, it's not. However, you want to make it to the party that it is. So you want the party to really have taken some profession things. So knowledge nature, knowledge survival, or survival skills, knowledge or profession sailor, profession navigator. All those play in. Can they aid each other? Of course they can. So if you're not used to Pathfinder, guys, what aiding is you make a skill check of DC 15 or better to aid another member by giving them a +2 to their roll. So people aiding them will come into play. And yes, this is a key thing. So having somebody at the helm that knows what the heck they're doing is going to be really key. Now, you as a GM, Barnabas Harrigan wants to take them out. He wants to knock them into the eye of the Abendigo, and this is literally on the cusp of the eye. You can see the eye up there. This is not a great place to be. You're going to go into the storm for a little bit. The storm is gale force winds of anywhere from 70 to 120 miles per hour. It can rip a ship apart if you lose. And so if the party goes off course, they can die. And this can be your TPK moment for an adventure. You don't want to make it that, but you want to take it to that far to the edge. So make sure you get familiar with it. The Master of Gales is a free captain druid who's won this multiple times. And he's the referee. He is watching. So if Harrigan does underhanded things and wins, he will get disqualified by the Master of the Gales. That's why I say it doesn't matter what really happens. He is watching the whole way. So if the party is underhanded, if they initiate the nastiness, he will disqualify them. But if someone else comes at them, they have to defend themselves. And so he is not so negative about them defending themselves. It is a cutthroat thing being a pirate. That's what this is. Now, why is this important? Because once you get free captaincy, you are legitimate within the Shackle Isles. So emphasize that to them. Free captaincy is that way. Now, only one player can be a free captain. So you have to pick who's going to be that free captain in their lot. But that's fine. It's their whole ship. They get a legitimate flag that they can fly, and they get the other ones they can fly to pretend they're not pirates. So they got to have one of each. Now, this one, the Isle of Empty Eyes. What is the next part? The next part is you are given an island as a free captain to have as your own. And they want you to throw a celebration for 3 of the free captain lords that are on the council. You are throwing this regalia to show them that you can be a free captain pirate, that you can have a legitimate place that you are based out of, a port of call, and that you set that up so that other pirates can come and be safe under your flag. That's really what it's all about, this whole adventure. It is a former Cyclopean Empire island. It's got some of the former Cyclopean Empire ruins on it. So is it nasty and dangerous? Yes. So the first thing the party has to do is clear out the ruins. They got to clear out the Cyclopean ruins. They have to clear out the ruins of the one captain that tried to settle these isles, who's now a ghost. And they have to try to build up their own little town that they can host a thing in. So this is going to require plunder, and it's going to require them taking the time. This is going to take several months, so several sessions for you to run for them to get through. Make it dangerous. Add encounters if you want. Change things up. There's a real full-blooded old elder Cyclops in there. Why are they nasty? Keep this in mind as a GM, because their first roll never misses and is always a critical hit. We lost a pirate there. We had a pirate gunslinger that was in the group. He had set his gun down to take aim. The elder Cyclops turned around, picked up a rock, and smashed him on the spot with a critical hit. So the first hit by an elder Cyclops or a true Cyclops is a critical hit. Hear me. It is a critical hit, confirmed. So whoever they turn on is going to have to withstand a critical hit. After that, they don't get any more of those givens, but they get it one time a day in combat. It is the danger of a Cyclops, and people underestimate Cyclopses. Never underestimate a Cyclops, and never play them as weak creatures. They're not. They were former rulers with the old human empires. They were dominant. So keep that in mind as a GM. Make the island creepy. Make the island scary. Make the island just twisted. The whole ghost thing and what has to be done is scary. You can add in the night hags if you want that are a part of that. And what happened to that former captain. I suggest you do. It makes it that much more fun. And play the crazy former first mate of that captain as nuttier than a fruitcake. And this is a chance to use the insanity rules, which are actually, if you get the ultimate or the horror adventures guide, they have insanity rules. I would use it with this guy. He's a little nuttier than a fruitcake. And he knows what he wants to tell the party, but he's just psychotically, because of the animated dreams, he is just in Baba land. He's off, just off his kilter. But he'll become a loyal part of their band afterwards if they can keep him alive. So keep that in mind. The second part is running the actual events that will be the free captain's invitation. Now, remind you, the one thing you want to become very familiar with is the eel and what he's doing. He is trying to sabotage things to make the party look bad and lose favor. The captains they're having to entertain are a surly lot. You have Avamar Soranash. He is the were captain, free captain, and all his crew are wares. He is nuttier than a fruitcake and chaotic evil. So keep in mind, he doesn't mind killing the party if he has to, if he feels slighted enough. You have Cerise Bloodmore. She's going to probably be one of the party's easier ones to best. She wants a good fight, and what she's going to do is she's going to do a duel with the party in the actual dinner. So make it a good duel. Pick your best duelist. Captain Mace Daramar. He is an aquatic elf. He is intrigued by what the party knows. He is a man of knowledge. And so that's something that's going to be important. The more they show that they know about pirate life, the happier they are. Now, keep in mind, the eel is a were-rat. He's a halfling, but he also is a were. So he's not the were-rat. That's Fargo. There are going to be some nasty things that's going to happen with the Jester's Grin. The party hopefully will figure things out, but the Jester's Grin is really the linch point. If that ship goes down, that becomes the real questionable, is the party ready? The party has to impress most of the party that they're throwing. So every little thing they discover about what's going on with the eel is important, but don't let on that there's a saboteur. No one knows. The eel has basically intimidated people, including the water creature that they're going to find on here. And I forgive me, I'm blanking on her. She's a Nereid, I believe. But let me go back and make sure. Just to make sure on this, because she's a key part of this adventure. And where is she? Touring the fort, respect, kitchen disturbance. Safina's an Nereid, yes. Safina in the beginning likes the party and wins them over. Later on, she is forced to betray them. That's a huge thing to play out. The party can either be mean and off her, or the party can work with her to regain her strength and her dignity. If the party does that, they have an ally and a water ally, and that's huge. So keep that in mind when you're playing that out as a GM for them. Hopefully this is helping you guys with it. Again, I'm not going through every part of the adventure. I'm going through some of the key things. Up to now, you haven't had major ship battles where you have 5, 6, 7, 8 ships in a fleet. So keep that in mind. Right now, you're just building to that point of where you're going to get to that. Now, you're going to get to that battle in the Price of Infamy. The Price of Infamy, as well as the From Hell's Heart, which are the last two. You're going to have to deal with the Chelish Armada in one, and you're going to have to deal with Kirdak, or you're going to have to deal with your former captain Barnabas Harrigan and raiding his island. Fleet battles. Here's what I recommend. You can sit and play them out for your players and make the session long and boring. Don't get me wrong, some people love the mini fleet battles and love to run them, and if your players are those types, then run them out. If your players are more about role play, have them as a background thing going on. You roll the dice each round, percentile dice, and I would put your percents as this: 0 to 31, the party gains advantage in the battle, the fleet battle, and ships are lost on the enemy side. And then you add a +1, just like you did in the race. +1, because you're counting how far the party gets to where the enemy is going to surrender. Flip side, in the center, things from 32 to about 66, I would say the party gains no advantage. So basically, it's just even. It's going back and forth, and the losses are both. So I'd just put a 0 because losses are going on both sides. Then the high end of it, the 67 on, the party is losing. Now, keep in mind, if the party loses some allies, they lose some allies. And what they're going to be doing in Book 5 is making allies. 4 and 5, they're going to be making allies and building their fleet. And that's what that's all about. All those adventures and everything else is getting more people into your fleet. So you're doing little favors and side things to help out these free captains. And the party is trying like heck to build up that fleet. You can make it as fun as, you can add things to it. Add other things. Add other free captains in. And in Book 6, they give you all the free captains. So keep that in mind. The party's going to be sitting in a free captain council. So take the free captains and align them with the party for favors they're doing, okay? Whether it be ship raids, whether it be plunder, whether it be helping them on a special task or get a special magic item, you can plan it out however you want to do it. You can follow the book or you can do it your own. At the end of the day, they got to have a fleet of a fleet squadron of about 50 to 60 ships if they're going to have a shot at the Chells, because the Chells are coming full force with Barnabas Harrigan's fleet. So keep that in mind. And then on the ship battle, I would focus on what ship the players are nearest to. So do like a boarding procedure. It becomes a boarding thing where you're broadside, hitting each other, firing, taking them over, sinking their ship, blowing it up. Focus on the one-to-one ship battles. And the party wins against the real critical person. So Miss Thrune. And she is a nasty little piece of work. So you are against two people. Barnabas Harrigan's group, you're against your former person that taught you how to board. She is a nasty little piece of work. That's Rarest Crime. She's in charge of the Wormwood. I would play that out, where the party and Rarest go at each other. And if the party and Rarest go at each other, then basically they'll make it to the island that gets them to Barnabas Harrigan. Now in here, they're against Miss Thrune and the whole nasties of the things, and they have their fleets. The Chellish Armada, led by Druvalia Thrune, is a huge armada. We're talking of ships in the squadron. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squadrons. Each squadron has 4 to 6, 7 ships. So you figure about almost 60 ships in the Chellish Armada. Plus they've got other flying creatures and devils and other things working on their side. Because again, they're Thrunes. Keep that in mind. So the party having as many friends as possible is really key. Then after that, they're going after Caradoc Bonefist to take him out because he is no longer fit. And this whole thing is, who do you set on the crown of the council? Who will be the next Storm King or Queen? Does the party back Tessa Fairwind? Does Tessa back their captain for that throne? It's all up to what you want to do in the party. Play it out. Now, to get to Caradoc Bonefist, there's gunpowder. It's up to you whether you want to allow gunpowder. You can change it out for crossbows. I love the gunpowder and the pistols because they were nasty, nasty, nasty. There are 2 cannon golems that come in protecting the hold of the Storm King. Play them out. Those cannon golems are nasty pieces of work. They're made of adamantine. They have a cannon on their arm and a cutting weapon on the other, and they are hard to kill. So that was my party's downfall, and they lost. They lost 3/4 of their party, and that's it. So we moved on. Keep in mind, you want to play those things out, and it's up to you if you want to take them out or put more in or not. Look at the CRs of your party. Look at what level they are. Base it against what the challenge rating should be. These are challenging adventures, and that's why I say don't make it hard on yourself as a GM. It is about the action, not about the combat mechanics. Those are fun, don't get me wrong, you want to have them, but you want to make this epic for them. Now, I know I'm taking about 60 minutes of your time, and I'm sorry for that, But you guys asked, what tips would I give you with this adventure? And I've played it through as a GM. And I loved it. I wish I would have put more side adventures. I wish I would have had Plunder and Peril. I wish I would have had that River into Darkness. It gave me other places I could send the party. I would get the book on Sargava. Sargava is an ally of the free captains. It's a place where the party could go and easily retrofit one of their ships. They see the pirates as necessary evils, and the party can recognize that and say, "Hey, look, you know, we're doing this to help protect you." And they will. It's a hard negotiation, but it's something they can use. I don't suggest raiding the towns and force ganging the Mwangi natives. It's up to you. Slaves generally don't react well over time and become your worst crewmates. I think liberating people from slavery, now that's a different animal. Go for the slaver ships and take them down. Then you have a very loyal crew because you have free men and women, and they will follow you, and they will fight for you, and they will do things for you that they wouldn't do otherwise. The book allows you to go either direction. I don't suggest press gangs. I really don't. The meanness factor, they're looking for a way to take you out at some point. You are the bad guy. And if you do things firmly but fairly, they tend to react better. Even though they're scallywags, they respect a firm fist, but a fair fist. Share the plunder well. Teach the party that sharing the party plunder with the crew makes a big difference. Yes, it costs them a plunder point or two, but the crew's happy. Their mood is very happy and loyal and upbeat, and that's going to affect rolls. So keep that in mind. Use weather. Please, please, please use weather. It changed our whole game. Roll for it out of the DM or out of the core rulebook. Weather, and if in fact, print off that page of weather and effects because it's really important. Characters can't fly into the eye of a Bendigo. They're going to get crushed or thrown into something flying. They can't fly. It's an advantage for you as a GM. They can't fly. Use weather spells. Teach them that using weather spells and weather-related spells, so having a druid in the party is not a bad thing, to move their ship faster. Use lots of encounters. Here's what I suggest. Instead of rolling the random encounters, roll them ahead of time and have them set out at different parts of the day. I rolled them. It was fun, but it kind of drew back and it took away from the story almost. If you have them played out and ready to go, it makes it much more fun. And it's okay, even if they go off the beaten path and off the rails, to have off-the-rail encounters already for them as well. I'm not a believer you have to keep them to the story all the time. Let them go off the rails to get their experience. It's always a good thing. Substitute magic items. I would have a lot of water-based magic items that will help them. They can also go up into the Sodden Lands if they want. The Sodden Lands have some fun adventures up there because that was the Lurgan Empire that went underwater with the Eye of a Bendigo. So there's lots of lost treasure. Boggart, Shahagan, other kind of adventures up there. So take them up there for some of their plunder and prestige. And get them into taverns. The key is the taverns and using the DC skill checks to tell their tale and get their fame or infamy up. That's something that's invaluable. And teach them to spend their prestige points. It talks about that in the player's guide. Using those PP to buy favors from pirates and people in the ports is invaluable. You can get items for your ship, discounts, other things you wouldn't get if you didn't, use those points. So, and there's some books on the things. The Ultimate Intrigue has some things on some of the pirates' schools. There's a pirate school. Yeah, go figure. You can use PP to get into there and really learn and grow as pirates. So there's some things there to be said. Keep this in mind. These are all things, and I know I've taken 60 minutes of your time, but this is going to be well worth it for you if you're ready to play these adventures. If there's something in the mechanics that don't make sense to you, again, Rick M. the GM with the capital letters, capital R, capital M, capital T, capital GM, okay, at Twitter. Hit me up. Or if Twitter doesn't allow you enough place to write on there in the DM, then rickmoh, RICMOH 43 at yahoo.com. I will get back to you, I promise. Just say, hey, listen to your podcast or your YouTube cast, got more questions, help me. One of my friends did that. One of my good friends that's now a Facebook friend of mine, we were bantering this stuff back and forth. He was playing at the same time I was. We gave each other ideas. It's greatness when you can do that. We have a community of GMs. Come to us and talk to us. You're not out there alone as an island. We're here to help you. Again, we want you to succeed. Hey, if you're a great GM, that means more great players, which means more great stories, which means more great adventures, which means beautiful play. And we want that. That's it. Thank you for your immensely wonderful time. I took an hour out of my schedule to make this, so I hope it's worth it for you. I really do. And I gave you the books again. Go through, take a notepad, write the books. If you got questions on any of them, hit me up. Thanks again, and have a great week of gaming.